This is going to be really fun. Today, have the chance to sit here and talk with Chris Hallberg, founder and president at Go Expand, and I'm going to let him give us a great insight into who he is and the things that he's accomplished and the things he's doing with his clients in his own words, because it's a lot. So take it away, Chris. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me on the show, Lee. Well, like you said, my name is Chris Hallberg. My business branding is the Business Sergeant. That's a lesson in personal branding. And when clients hire me, they're not hiring a Sunday school teacher or someone to come in to make light suggestions. They hire the business sergeant to come in and do some awesome big things as a team. And that allows me to just lean into my whole persona, which is very direct. I use a ton of humor, but we get the work done because, back to the premise here of being a business sergeant is adopting a more military-based team building mindset. So think about being on a world-class team, sports team, academic team, military unit, something special. And the feeling you get when you achieve greatness and you can do things that not everybody else can do. So a statement is the world has become way too inclusive. All right. So just way too inclusive. Like if you have a bedroom full of 8th place trophies, like that's what I'm talking about. Right. So in the military, if you take a course, you go to a schoolhouse to get a skill badge or something for your job training. They have exceeds course standards. It's limited to the top 20% of the course. Yeah. So once you're number 21st percentile, then you get to pass the course, but you don't get to exceed the standard. You get to meet the standard. And then if you don't actually meet the standard, there's this thing called not graduating. Even if you were there and it was hard and you failed on the last day, you still failed. You can come back and do the school again.
They roll you back.
And you're not going to start on the last day. You're not going to show up. Who's this guy? Oh yeah, I'm just here to not fail the last day. No, you're going to start over.
That's right.
So there's something to be said about a bar that's higher than an inch off the ground. Yeah. And you don't have to be, people think, I could never have a world-class company. Well, actually, it starts with the decision to be world-class, not to accept mediocrity or just be like everybody else. So I think that's really the mindset is what I bring to it. And then I bring some very powerful tools. First one is EOS, or the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Okay. And I've been a full-time EOS implementer for about 11 and a half years. So pretty early, like implementer, like high 50s, low 60s. And now we're pushing 1,000 worldwide. So well over 100 leadership teams throughout the process. My clients have won over 200 individual Best Places to Work award. So 94% engagement, twice the EBITDA, waiting list to work there, like a dream company. And if like half of 1% of these companies out there can meet that, but 50, 60% of my clients are at that standard, what does that mean? It means that if you have a mindset, you have an operating system. And if you don't have a business operating system, you're making it up. And I'd ask you to stop doing that as soon as you can. And then the third thing I bring to the party is a software solution, Go Expand, which is an officially licensed program through EOS Worldwide. So we can run other operating systems, but we launched with EOS because of my relationship there. So when you have an operating system, you kind of have to have some glue to keep it together. It's one thing to kind of assemble all these tools. It's another to operate them on a day-to-day basis. So my very best clients, being a fly on the wall in these full-day EOS sessions, you get to see what everyone uses. And it's usually a bit of a Frankenstack, which is just a disparate bunch of apps that we've just got into and upgraded as we've gone along. But what I noticed was they all use 4 or 5 different people apps. And all a company is, at the end of the day, Lee, is a curation of human beings. So it's important that we've got the right ones in the right seat and they're happy. It sounds revolutionary and all, but you'd be surprised. Any company out there, 30, 40% engaged, just kind of average, and just happy enough not to quit is usually the average American worker. Also, productivity, doing about the minimum necessary not to be fired. So like that's the state of like normal business. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people that want to step out of those ones and zeros and enter another dimension of business, which is highly profitable, low drama, owners going away for months, everyone being able to take their 3, 4, 5 weeks of vacation and not coming back to a shitstorm, but an actual functioning business. and a full battery. All right, so that Go Expand stuff. Basically, I took a melon baller and carved out the people app stuff because my observation, Lee, was that my clients were only using 20, 30, maybe 40% of each of these people apps, but they were paying for everything. So what's the part you use? Oh, yeah, everyone uses that. Okay. So why don't I just take a melon baller and here's some pulse surveys. Start your day with a question. Do you need to talk to Lee today? No, I don't. Great. Lee doesn't need to manage you today with an hour-long phone call that's just stopping you from the very goals he's asking you to hit. Instead, you got 10 people on your team, 2 people need to talk to you. Start your day clearing their log chain, right? Asking questions. Do you need me? Yes or no? No, I'll leave you alone. Yes, I'll come get you first. So there's just a pulse survey. And if we're going to try new ideas or ask questions, we can do a survey and get data in that way. Also, dashboards. People are very visual these days. I heard the other day that a goldfish has 7 seconds of attention span as they sit there. An adult male has 5. So we're behind in the attention span thing. So just give me a flash report, give me a chart, show me a trend line, show me average, and hopefully I'm above it, that kind of stuff. I like to joke, green is good, red is bad. So how can I create a team dashboard with an x-axis and a y-axis? And we can get into that in detail a little bit later if you'd like, because it takes the subjectivity out of running a business, which is kind of the hardest part of business. When you say, is that person the right person in the right seat? And you say, well, if I look at it through this criteria, I'm going to say, yeah, maybe, kind of. And if I look at it this way, I'm going to say probably not. But no one's going to do anything about it. They still work here, if that's your squishy assessment. So I think it's really important, especially if we're going to have unicorns, A players on our team, that we don't offend our A players by putting a C player right next to them at a similar rate of pay. It's offensive. Don't do it. So a lot of these strategies aren't just to grow the business, right? It's to maintain. Once you achieve a certain level of excellence, you need to maintain it. And we do that, right, through retention. So we don't have to reinvent ourselves every January. So basically the people tools are the dashboards, the performance reviews, personality assessments, feedback boards, high fives, reward and recognition. I was in a meeting, you dropped a fire meeting. I'm going to give you a high five. Someone else sees that. I was in that meeting. Lee was awesome. All they have to do is hit the like button on my high five, and you get another high five through them. So it's the app is perfectly curated to run all the stuff. Think about porting all your QuickBooks and your Salesforce, all your data. We have 5,000 integrations through Zapier's app. So people use Go Expand as a high engagement. So again, rather than having 5 or 6 apps, everyone's 20, 30% in, we can have one app where we're 80 to 100% in all day. And that's where we see what's going on. And then thirdly, so we have all the business operating system tools, organizational charts through EOS, we call accountability charts, rocks, Dr. Stephen Covey's strategic initiatives, project planning, Kanban boards, to-dos, task management, meetings, being able to have all your meetings run, timers, agentic AI note takers. If you take a to-do or I take a to-do, we make a commitment. The AI heard us take a commitment, and it gives us a task. It gives us a to-do and puts it right in your dashboard. So after the meeting or during the meeting, you don't have to stop the meeting and do the task. It's just waiting for you. So it's just tools to allow you to communicate. In the military, we call it shoot, move, and communicate, right? In the military, right? Execute, be agile and communicate and have fun. So like really it's tying everything together because peer pressure is the healthy ingredient that keeps wonderful teams together. If you're okay letting the team down and you show up to meeting off track and you're the happiest person in the world, that should be a little weird for the rest of us who did our work and are wondering what your defect is. So high level, that's what it is, a mindset. And I have an online leadership course to teach people this business sergeant's mindset, the Business Sergeant's Academy. And then we've got EOS, so Entrepreneurial Operating System, doing the proven process. Such a powerful tool to take your leadership team, then ultimately your management team, and then the rest of the team goes through them. And then having that tool to put it together and keep track of everything. Everything is searchable. Think about this. just the speed at which interruptions, knock, knock, knock. Hey, got a dumb question. I should know, but I don't. Do you know? Oh, let me find out. And then pinging back. So just like a reimbursement policy, for instance, you go on a conference, you come back, you got some receipts. How does this work? Well, you can ask this person. Oh, that's not me. That's so-and-so. Oh, let's ask Paychex, ADP. What state are they in? Next thing you know, it's like 5 or 6 get backs. 2 or 3 days later, here's the policy for you. Instead, you could just put that in the AI repository, right? The company brain, and I could just ask the chat window inside of Go Expand, and then the one pager pulls up. That's everything I need to know. I didn't disturb anyone. And if you decide to update that process, you can just pull the other one out, put the new one in. That old answer isn't even available. So like EOS plus AI plus a right mindset, get out of here. That's the secret sauce. Those are the 3 things that I bring to a leadership team, and it works.
I love it. It's a lot of structure that I think is totally needed for both middle management and leadership as well. Because I mean, leadership's usually the ones taking people off tracks, and it makes a lot of sense when you're talking about high engagement. With a lot of your clients, if a best place to work kind of notoriety, because it's funny that people actually want structure in their work. And I think, it wouldn't take us long to get to this idea of objectivity versus subjectivity. I was just chatting with a buddy of mine about this earlier today, and talking about how much emotion plays into our work and the type of result that we want to get personally from our work. And a lot of it is emotionally driven. It's not objective. And so I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit more, because all the parameters that you give that are good for just structure in general, infrastructure, but also for leading, all EOS, the tech, the mindset, all of that has to be there, so it can be led top down. And we're going to get into empowering middle management here in a minute, because that's kind of a funny, almost ironical thing that we're talking about structure and best place to work and all that. I don't think about middle management when I think about all those things. I think about middle management being this sort of vast, vapid place where everything goes to die and no one's happy with their work, and no one really knows how they're measured, and it's all up for grabs. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute, but I like this idea of making things more objective. And I think if they're done in the right terms, by role or department or goal or direct objective, whatever you're doing, to bring context to that, then it actually provides you even more value for what you're getting as an employee or even as a leader, and you're going to get more emotionally out of it as well at the end of the day. So I think everything that you're offering in its fullness provides that. I agree with the inclusivity and exclusivity. I think that inclusivity is it has sort of an Achilles heel to it, and we can end up creating these sort of participation trophy environments, which are not helping anyone. It's not helping the company. It's not helping the employee. So maybe dig into the objectivity. But before we do that, though, what branch of military were you in?
Army, National Guard, military police. I did 9 years, part-time citizen soldier, and then full-time at 20 years of age. Started at a maximum security prison 5 stories underground, and then by 23 was a sergeant in both organizations. So got my stripes early in some pretty interesting places. Learned a lot about people and respect and how you carry yourself. And I would describe that whole almost decade of service and all those different uniforms as 80% boredom punctuated by 20% sheer terror. So like, I don't know. But I didn't want to stay for 20 years. I thought 9 years was enough. I got the T-shirt.
Those environments that you worked in are a great example in part to the workforce in terms of how it plays out, because you have a lot of training and they take you through, to where it is second nature, is muscle memory in terms of the protocol that you have to go through. And then when you get in the real world, the protocol still there, it doesn't go out the window, but you now have to adapt that protocol to the real world circumstances, which is the boredom or the fear. And so in life and work, middle management, different circumstances, but similar. If you were to put structure in place, you have the protocol now, you have the infrastructure, but now you have to map that to real world. And I like EOS because it is a real world sort of structure. It does bridge that gap.
Yeah, there's a ton of militaristic elements in EOS, like the backwards planning. Where do you want to be in 10 years? That'll inform your 3-year picture. What's your 3-year picture? That your 1-year plan makes itself predicated on where you want to be in 3 years. And then every year we reset the 3-year and the 1-year goals to keep it tight. So I think that, just going back to like Gino Wickman, our founder, who sold the company, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but still active, speaks at the conference, and I see him once in a while, not like we used to. He's doing other entrepreneurial stuff, helping kids in school, elite programs. So he's helping with the whole entrepreneurial thing. But really, what I got from Gino in the structure is people like structure, just like you said. And at the end of the day, they want to be with their people, as he likes to say. If you're not our people, hey, this isn't good for you. It's not good for me. So we talk about like the 4 people, the three sets of people that lose when we hang on to the wrong people. Well, the person who's not the right person in the right seat, they're failing. Like that's not a good vibe for humans to put off that I'm not doing well, even if they're not willing to do something about it. You got to be empathetic to what's going on there. So first off, they're not in a great shape. And if they were to actually leave, even though it sounds bad right now, short term, it's the best thing for them because they have an opportunity to find their people. We are clearly not this person's people. So like, bless your heart, right? That's how they say it down south. The second team that loses is the team right around the person because they're having to pick up the slack. It's actually harder for them to do their job with the wrong person next to them. If that wrong person was not there, meaning they were an oar short, the boat would be 200 pounds lighter. We'd be hitting our lap times. But because we got the weight and not the oar, right, that means that they're going to have to row extra hard, and they can only do that so long before it just doesn't feel equitable. And then the third person is the person working at another organization who is amazing, and they would thrive in this culture. They would light it up. But there's no opportunity for us to find that person or them to find us because we keep hanging on to the wood and nickel crowd. Oh, I'll be better next quarter. Oh, I'm making progress. Like, not really to any of those things. So like it's actually quite merciful to, take people out of the organization that have no real chance of being highly successful here. And all they're doing is stealing that experience for someone else. Again, it's probably amazing, but they're suffering. So that's why there's new people everywhere I go. Sometimes on the leadership team, lots of times on the middle managers, back to the middle managers, the sergeants, as I like to call them, because that's what I was in the military. The sergeants spend way more time with the troops, Sue, than the officers. But I also find in most of my engagements, they're glorified privates. And here's a test that you can have your listeners and things that I tell my clients. I'll ask about the health of the leadership team and the management team. And oftentimes, like, what's that? Like, one's a leadership team. Those are executives, right? They're not billable. They're managing, hiring, curating, creating products, making decisions, financing the business, figuring out the technology, that kind of stuff. Who are we going to be in 3 years? That's the leadership team's job. The managers are executing the vision at hand, our current quarterly, yearly, 3-year plan picture, what's going on with that. So like, if you are going to share information with your troops, do you tell the sergeants at least a day or so ahead of time? Most don't. And I'm like, whoa, imagine that. You're dropping big information on the team, and the junior people look at their sergeants and say, what do you think about this? And you're like, hang on, I'm processing. I just learned about it. Wait a minute. I thought you were in charge of me. And sergeants not being able to actually hire and fire, just to be able to report, oh, they're doing it again, right? And they just send the message that it's not great. And then the leaders really don't do anything to do that. So like, that's really squishy. You go to a great military unit, right? Here's like a couple different combinations. Let's say you had a unit that world-class officers, world-class sergeants. That doesn't happen often, just to be clear. Sure. That's a rare unit. And you like thank your lucky stars you're in that unit. You've got great leadership. You've got great management. Hoorah. Like, this is like, you're going to not want to leave after a couple of years of being in that unit. Maybe a little bit more common would be, okay officers okay sergeants, and that's why there's TV shows and movies about the Army, about, cutting grass with scissors and that kind of stuff. But, if you had a unit with okay officers, but amazing sergeants, that would probably still be a serviceable unit to be in if you were a junior enlisted, right? Because you're spending more time. And even though the officers want to do dumb things, the sergeants kind of parry the really dumb things away. And we're going to do some dumb stuff, but, we're in the Army. Like you signed up for a little bit of that, right? But a unit where there's amazing officers and horrible sergeants, oh gosh, like get me out of here. I'm going AWOL. Because think about that. Like the officers know what should be done, and the sergeants are really screwing that up, and you're around them all the time. So like at the end of the day, if you're going to have any layer of leadership to be spectacular, having sergeants that are on the same page as the officers, man, that's just blissful, because the leadership team and the management team, right, that they're on the same team. They're just, they're at a different level, and they have a different function. And it's an altitude thing, right? It's a jet fighter versus a helicopter. It's what closer to the ground. And when we look at it that way and think, oh my gosh, these managers are an extension. They know the vision because we share it with them. And we also allow them to say, hey guys, this is dumb. Just stop. You're drunk. Go home. No more. You know what I mean? The CRM is fine. Like that's not like a new CRM isn't what the problem is. Having a HR person who doesn't want to replace bad people. That's actually what's killing us. So like, I really think if we go after the similarities, world-class athletic teams, military units, corporate teams, small businesses, they're exclusive. They're hard to get a job there and pretty easy to lose your job there. Like that is just talking about someone who has high standards. So if you say, we want to be great, this is the minimum necessary we're going to require. And if you don't do that, you're immediately going to be let go. And if it actually happens, then you actually get let go versus all the tough talk that happens. And everything knows that that's not true. Your core values are integrity and hard work. And like everyone's lying. Everyone's like got 3 online jobs. This is BS. So I think people can smell if you're genuine or not. And the best way to do that is to look for like-minded people and then curate a team of them and run circles around the rest of the market who's just like, I can only do with what I'm given. And that the weak minds.
Also when there is that sort of line in the sand where, hey, if this doesn't happen, then there is a consequence. Following through that consequence is one thing because it shows there is a bar, right? There is sort of a bar you have to jump over. But I think it does so much more for the culture you're building, because whenever you actually look at someone and say, okay, we both agree you're not in the right seat. Let's move you to the right seat, assuming you have that opportunity to do that. Well, now you've demonstrated that inside the company too, to say, hey, when you're in the right seat, you're much more comfortable with these hard lines because you want to perform against those metrics that matter when you're in the right position. But if you're not in the right position, no one's happy.
Or you're not enabled. Like you don't have the right tools. You don't have the right funding. You're working on a Windows 8 computer or something like that. I mean, like, I wonder why the team's not successful. So the middle manager's job is to get clear direction from the officers, the C-suite, and not have them flip-flop every quarter or two. Like, for goodness gracious, could we just run this plan for a year or two? Because you said it was the best one ever. I remember that you said that. So let's apply some consistency and some fairness. Mm-hmm. Also, if we're going to have high standards, they have to be uniform across the organization. Can't have pockets of greatness. It is, again, once a mindset. Not everyone can work here. You guys work hard. Like, yeah, we do. We enjoy it. We're in the impact business. So would you rather have a small team of A players all making 30, 40% more than average workers, right? But not 100% more. An A player, Lee, can do twice the work of a C player. But you almost never pay an A player 2x, 1.2, 1.4, maybe 1.6x. So my message to everyone here is there is a profit margin in A players. You don't need 100 people. You need 35 A players with some AI bots, right? Because AI still can't take over an A player's work. They might take over a C player's work, depending on what type of work it is.
That's a really good distinction.
Yeah, I mean, so back to the whole AI thing. If you want to segue into AI because we've
Yeah.
got an agentic
Oh,
AI
yeah, no,
agent.
I want to hear what you have to say about that because I know you have the agentic AI bot. You have that built into your tech, but also, talking about middle management in terms of where they stand. Where does that whole landscape look like right now? Because I think you almost kind of summarized it before we could get there. In that, if you have C players, which I think of middle management largely as C players, they're not given the right direction. They don't have the right motivation. There's a lot of there's a big band of waste that's happening, and you have AI coming into the picture. Curious what you're seeing in that world. How is AI changing that?
Yeah. So, like right now, a lot of people are pretty freaked out about
Mhm.
AI as a threat. And for certain positions, like rightfully so. If you're a coder who spent years learning a language and now you can just ask your AI coder to do it and it's done, like that can be a little threatening. Like so I totally understand. And then there's some admin like data scraping positions that AI just does a superior job to humans. So
Mhm.
like it is happening, but on a much smaller scale than people would like to believe. Like what I am seeing is humans using AI are replacing humans that refuse to. Because at the end of the day, in the year 2025, 2026, it's going fast, and it's exciting time to be here. However, AI is horrible at discernment, doesn't make good decisions. It's good at providing information, right? So
Mhm.
you can make a decision, but asking it like, do make a decision on this, like, I wouldn't do that. And then it can't really build relationships, right? It's a robot.
Yeah,
So those human things, knowing what that look meant, a
yeah.
sigh, the poker face thing, like
It's a
it's
critical thinking piece.
yeah, the critical thinking is discernment, right? So I just put that
Discernment,
all
yeah, for
into
sure.
yeah. So
I think,
discernment and
yeah,
relationship building are the two things it can't do.
that's how I see it too. And I see on the front end, it all comes down to questions. If you don't have the right questions, then it doesn't matter what data you're querying. You need to know what to ask of that data still. And we've had Google Analytics for a long time, maybe almost 2 decades, um, maybe not that long. And we still don't know what to ask of our data. We had a big boom back in, I don't know, maybe this was 10 years ago. There's big data, I think it was called. Like there's all these big things that come up like this, and AI is measurably different. But we still need to know our business. We still need to know what to ask of the data, whether we can ask it in a conversational way or in a ones and zeros development way or in a Excel spreadsheet, whatever, however we're asking it of the data, we need to know what to ask. And then on the back end, we need to be able to discern what it gives us so we can make intelligent decisions. If you don't know your business, this is not going to help you. If you don't know your role, this is my own, opinion, but if you don't know your role as a middle marketing manager or insert whatever title, uh, and you're a C player, then AI is not going to help you. You should be fearful because the things that it can do, which are a lot, could probably take over a lot of things that you're doing because you're doing it at a lower level. Now, A player, and I like how you mentioned that, those that are leveraging AI, they basically become, as you mentioned, AI powered humans. So humans that are powered with AI, I've been saying that since I heard of AI, which was what, a year ago. I'm like, this is not going to take over. I mean, there's certain sectors that yes, it is going to flatten, but so it's not a general statement. But when you come to what we're talking about here in middle management, um, if you are an A player and you know how to use tools and you already know your business, you know your role, you know how to think and discern, critically think, then AI becomes your superpower. And it becomes something that enhances what you're doing. It enhances the company. But if you're not, then you've got a mountain to climb.
Yeah, and it's not just AI for AI's sake. I think the important thing here, and just my statement is, AI is going to add right now, at least in the next year or so. So 25, 26. This is my prediction. And who
Mm-hmm.
knows? It could get general human intelligence by Christmas 25. The way people are talking, like as fast as things are going. However, look at this. If you're a founder, you're a manager, you're a leader of humans, and you're trying to figure out, should I resist this AI thing or lean into it? First, let me help you out. Like, this isn't something to not look at for another year or two, because it might be too late for you, because your competitors who are leaning into this might find a way to run circles around your organization or squish it all together because they're able to do it better, faster, cheaper, because they've leveraged these tools. So just beware. I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but if that isn't even on your radar, you're sleeping, I need you to wake up right now, pinch yourself, and get into the game before it's too late. It's not too late, but it will be too late if you continue down this path. AI is adding 40, 50 IQ points to every one of your employees. So think about that. If you had a chance to recruit from a source and every one of those candidates, right, were Mensa level smart, why wouldn't tell anybody about it? You'd keep it quiet, and you'd start filling up your company, and then the oxygen thieves are like eating crayons in the corners. Like, you can just trade them off to your competitors right away, and then we can find out who's good over there and take over their humans that are stealable, right? Steal talent is how you build great teams.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, when you tie in the AI agent to what you want people to know, and you give them instant access without having to disturb a single soul, it's like getting another day of the week. It's like a second Friday, essentially, is what ends up happening. So this is what I'm talking about. It's not just the smartness, it's the capacity. So now I can actually do 6 days worth of work in 5 days. Right? So I can actually leave the office at 3:00 on Friday and have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
And because I'm using these tools and I'm surrounded by the right people in the right seat, and we're following a business operating system, and we've got peer pressure because we got visibility into me, like, I don't want to be below the line. I'm going to come in early and stay late because, like, this guy is not a below the line kind of guy. So if that's what's actually happening, I'm not going to let that happen. So now we're playing the game, right? Moneyball, baseball. Like, if you remember the movie with Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt, it was just about data. It was about statistics. That person gets on base 1 or 2 extra times every 20 at-bats, but over 100 and some games and 3 or 4 at-bats per game, that's significant. So it's like curation once again. All a business is a curation of humans. Is it a well-curated business, or is it a very average or less than average? Oh, like, here's the mirror. Oh, there's the little fog. Come on in. So, like, I find a lot of these issues in companies when I start an engagement is that, again, the managers are not empowered correctly. They're being paid to manage, but they're not really being allowed to manage, which is just silly, right? To go through all the expense and then not actually give the troops clear direction, accountability, mentorship, little shelter from the officers and Good Idea Fairy, who's definitely a colonel at your company. All that's true. But when I give you an app that is relevant to what you're doing, you can communicate with it. You can search conversations. You can record conversations. You can keep track of everything. You can ask it questions. Now, especially in a hybrid or a work environment, I'm fully connected. I got the dashboard open. I'm looking at numbers. I'm seeing high fives. I'm giving feedback. I'm in my meetings. I'm asking questions. I'm in one login for 80% of the things I do at the company. And because of that, we have all of this data, and we have all this instant access to the truth. And we can follow the leaderboards and look at the dashboards. I'm up and to the right. I'm highly performing, highly aligned. Look at me over here. I'm a rock star. Or, oh boy, I'm getting kind of close to that line. This is exactly the prescriptive things I need to do to go up in engagement and to the right in performance. So now I'm either going to do it and I'm going to get into the green, or I'm not. So now I have a tool for the very managers who are under-resourced, under-empowered, under-trained. And now I can at least say, hey, we decided we're going to be business sergeants. We're going to run on EOS, and we're going to use Go Expand. Those are the commitments that you make, the three things there. Now, once you're in that, anyone like this will identify someone. They are not moving towards the green. They're actually moving further into the red. That means it's time to let them go. The data is there. You gave them a chance, but the data says they're not doing it. So now I need you to do something about it. That's the piece that's missing. So even if you have a great mindset and you run on an operating system, all that subjectivity still exists. Is that the right person? Maybe. We'll look on the board. This says no. Okay, the answer is no. This says, oh, yes, this says they're super the right person in the right seat. Great. Why don't you call them up and tell them you thank them for being on the team, and you really appreciate how low drama in there. Is there anything that I could do to make your experience a little bit better? Oh, I never thought of that. No, you're over managing your unicorns, and they're being annoyed, and you're letting your lemmings just fall off of things left and right. That's not very intentional. So like any company, if they decide they want to be world class, it's a process. Taken literally well over 100 companies through it, and they all come out the other side, or at least 85% do. And the only 15% that don't make it, well, we're humans. Like
nothing's perfect.
There's some megalomaniac visionary, some wounded, somebody likes to light their company on fire just so they can put on their firefighter outfit and come down the pole. Like that. That's
I have met them and worked with them.
Yeah. So they're out there,
exactly
but
what we're talking about.
Yeah. But there's a lot of those in entrepreneurs and visionaries. And I mean, at the end of the day, all people want, because the world we live in is gotten kind of crazy because of this lack of standards, over inclusivity. Like look at some of these major American cities where you can't even go to the drugstore with the toothpaste is locked up. Well, why is toothpaste locked up? Well, because they don't lock up people for theft up to a certain number.
They lock up the product, not the person.
Yeah. They lock up the product, not the person. So like, there's a great example. Like,
let's punish everybody else.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. So at a privately held company, I understand, we're all citizens of this country or the world, but as crazy as the world is, we don't have to match or one up that level of crazy at the office. In fact, my clients comment all the time in surveys that it feels so normal and stable here, and the world just makes sense for this 8 to 10 hours, and then before and after, who knows what you're going to run into. But at least here, we're intentionally not crazy. So when crazy happens, we're like, hey, crazy, come here, knock that off, it's not allowed here. What do you mean? Like, all right. So my point is, you get to curate the team. If you have an unaccountable company, it's your fault. You, for whatever reason, like however you got here, you have the company you deserve. Now, if you want to change it, it starts with making a decision, right? Picking up the phone, calling people that know how to do it, and then knuckling down for a year or two and actually getting it done, and then maintaining it. But everyone thinks, oh, it's going to be so hard. Well, how do you feel right now? Well, this sucks. Well, you're trading one thing the other. Other people say, oh, coaching and software and implementation is expensive. Do you have any idea how much you're spending on being mediocre or below average right now? Like the cost and turnover, you're already paying for all this stuff in brain damage. Like it's capitalized in frustration and lost profits and high turnover and low engagement. So like whatever you think this is going to cost, it's going to cost a lot less
than what you're
and it's going to feel a lot better a lot sooner than people think. So those are some of the misnomers
I like
that people run into.
And we're almost out of time, and I appreciate you coming on, but I wanted to just drill into one thing before we leave, because I figure you're, of all people, would have a take on this. Meetings philosophy, like the philosophy, just like dialing into, maybe into the US system itself or mindset, or, we're talking about middle managers here. Meetings just consume. I mean, there's some people I talk to that they're in so many meetings, they don't have time to actually do their job. And I just find that so fascinating that companies can even stay operating that way. So what's your philosophy on meetings?
Yeah, if it could have been an email, send an email. Emails are for sharing information. Meetings are for making decisions. So if you don't have an objective, there's no agenda. The other thing is groupthink, bunch ball. You ever see a bunch of kids play soccer, go on the weekends? Like you see the goalies midfield. It's like a dust ball. The ball squirts out, and then the gaggle of kids and dust follows that around. Like you watch professional soccer, the goalie kind of stays around the net, and the attackers are the other side, the midfielders, right? Everyone, it's a position thing. So I think that if you allow groupthink, or all right, this is a marketing issue, and the finance guy says, "I've got an idea," and you're like, "Okay, fine, let's all just be polite and let the finance guy wax on about stuff he's not an expert at." Right. And then there's a finance issue, and the marketing person's like, "Oh, I've got an idea." And they're just like, what are we doing? So like Steve Jobs famously said years ago, we don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire brilliant people and they tell us what to do. So my point is, when we're in a meeting, okay, who owns the issue? This is so-and-so's issue. Everyone else hush. If they ask for help, give them help. Do not give help if it's not asked for. Yeah. This is, you're like self-soothing or, ooh, I know a little bit about this. Let me show everybody how smart I am.
Yeah.
It's just performative. It's
that goes back to the subjectivity that we've talked about before. People, they're in a forum where they want to feel value and they want to give value. And it could be positive or it could be negative, but where else are they getting it? If they're not getting it from these other the objectivity of how the work goes, then they have to get it in these forums.
Yeah. So the idea is if we have back to EOS, we have this level 10 meeting format and it's every week. It's an hour and a half. It's very prescriptive. It's like, gee, I wonder what we're going to talk about. No one ever said. It's the same agenda. It's put your helmet and pads on, put about 30 minutes preparation for this hour and a half meeting, and then don't go to any other meetings or just a handful of tactical meetings that are compulsory. Meaning, I just made big commitments that are due in 1 week. And if they're not done, I'm in big trouble. So I don't need a bunch of meetings. I need one big meeting where we actually solve the issue or have a plan to solve the issue. Then I need to give people an actual week to execute so I can start moving the needle. If you're in a constant state of meetings, just stop. Stop. Like nothing is going to happen if you don't have this meeting. In fact, you're probably working on too many things and doing a poor job at all of them. Why don't you do 3 to 7 big things a quarter and crush them versus 42 things that no one's ever going to notice? That's how we move the ball, is we don't let you say yes to everything. The power of no. Yes brings opportunity, top line sales. No brings profit, EBITDA, and chance for growth. Learn how to say no. It's strategic no's get you to the promised land, not unlimited yeses.
Love that. That's an amazing way to wrap this up. Thanks so much for being on the show. This is awesome, and sharing what you do. People want to find you. Where should we send them?
Yeah, Chris at goexpand.com is a good email, or chris.hallberg at EOS Worldwide, or if they want to go to the Business Sergeant website, that's bizsgt.com. Those are the 3 places you'll find me. And then shoot me a connection request on LinkedIn. Love to connect with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks, Lee.